stream today, I'll be sculpting away at Shimo's skull, you could say. And I'm hoping to have this project finished, I do say. Oof, a lot of work. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like that button, smash that like button as hard as a kaiju, comment below what you think of the project, share with your friends, and perhaps consider subscribing if you're new. And I should probably mention, the music in the background is all royalty free, and you'll find the links in the post description below. So, yeah. Couple minutes late, unfortunately, mainly because having some technical errors, still filming here with the tablet, and of course it wants me to go vertical, and if I do sound slightly different, that's because I'm using an actual professional microphone. So I know a lot of you are kind of used to me sounding a little different, mainly because I use the microphones on the phone. So yeah, that's why I sound different, if there's any questions about that. But what I'm going to basically do is start off with sculpting some eye sockets here, which I'll be using a ball stylist, and then I'm going to make some horns, and then maybe get into the lower jaw later today. Hey Claymationzilla, thanks for tuning in. And Kingzilla, a couple regulars here, so thanks for tuning in, guys, and hope you're having a great day. It's been a busy one for me, I do say. And it's only just kind of begun, because I'm now in here. So yeah, I'm going to basically be sculpting away at Shimo's skull, making all the horns and stuff like that. So I'm hoping to get this project done by tonight. I don't plan on streaming the whole thing probably, but we'll see how far we can get here. So yeah, hopefully you guys are doing well. I got a lot of work ahead of me, so I'm going to be kind of multitasking. So if I do have slight delays in replies to your guys' chat, I do apologize. Just going to be filming and streaming basically at the same time per usual. So if you have any sort of topics you'd like to bring up, or ideas for animations, or talk about favorite dinosaurs or monsters, let me know in your chat section below here, because I actually have a decent view of everything at this point. Because obviously I have quite a better setup, to say the very least. So with ring lights and everything, I'm not quite used to being surrounded by cameras this much, but we'll get there. So what I should probably do is grab my first tool. I need a ball stylist. So for those of you who are unaware, it's basically just a, whatchamacallit, kind of like a rubber sculpting tool, but except it's basically all metal. So it's just a lot easier to kind of work with those hard ends, if that makes any sense. So you can drill in those hard lines a little bit easier instead of having the tool kind of flop around and leave messy marks. This one works in certain situations, but it's, yeah. Added flexibility is always nice for when you're working on something like the spikes, for example. So I'm going to make a slight camera adjustment for you guys here. And then I'm going to start sculpting away. Now hopefully the tablet stays, because it's in there kind of vicariously. It's not what I wanted to do, unfortunately. But show must go on. Yeah, because of multitasking here, I do have to set up my other light up for the camera. So I apologize if I bump the mic here a couple times. Tight quarters. I need a bigger studio at this particular point in my life, so we'll be probably moving to my living room eventually here soon, I would say. Yeah. Oops. See how this looks on the camera end of things here. Not too shy, unfortunately. Shimo is for this situation, so I'm just going to make my life slightly easier and kind of push this thing further back. If possible. Too many monsters. Move, -1. Yeah. Probably going to be in the market for essentially a new art desk soon, and this one will basically just become a studio, for lack of a better term. It's going to be basic because it's fastened to the wall. It's nice and secure, so it works really well for stop motion, because that's one thing you guys never really want to have happen, is your stuff essentially moving around, because yeah, that's no good. So when you're working with your stop motion projects, make sure you're on a very, very stable table, because that makes your life just a lot easier, because you don't want that environment to basically move around, right? So what I'm going to do here at the beginning, for sculpting the eyeballs, lighting might not be the greatest for you guys at this point. I do apologize, but essentially you just take your ball stylus and you stab it in there, and you just kind of rotate it around until you have something of the shape of an eye socket. So I'm probably going to do a little bit of shaping with this before I get too far ahead with that, to be honest, because it's not quite the shape I would like. So I'm going to do a little bit of reference photos here as well, because we want to make sure that we don't have to do a whole bunch of re-sculpting, obviously, because that's just not a lot of fun. I mean, sculpting is fun, but not when you have to do it a bunch of times. So I'm going to move this light back just to make my life slightly easier. Luckily, I have a few images already saved, but must admit I'm accustomed to the tablet, not the cellular phone. Save. There we go. Much smaller. Could probably use my iPhone here too, that's playing the background music, to figure that stuff out, but it's probably a little easier this way. I think I already pretty much got the basic shape down, but she does have a very, very hard bridge nosed. Like, there's not a lot of, I don't know how to really describe it, but there's no dip. It's pretty much all one shape. It's more traditional dinosaur almost, which is kind of favorable. And chances are Shimo would have a very, very strong bite force due to that skull shape. Because honestly, I'm not sure Godzilla or those other monsters would have the best one, to be honest, due to their face being very, very triangular in shape. So, yeah. Ugh. Don't have to work it over too much, just want the basic shape here, essentially, is the overall idea. We're going to add a lot of plasticine clay, essentially, to it over time, to make just life a lot easier, essentially. Doomslayer. RVR. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you are doing well today. I'm working on Shimo's skull, you could say. Just getting the basic shape right now, and then we're going to make a couple eye sockets with essentially a ball stylist. Okay. Who requested for leg? Oh, didn't quite catch your message there. Can you repeat that? I'm sure leg is not what you meant. Okay. So now we're going to play with the ball stylist a little bit here, so I'll make sure that actually people on stream can see this for a change. So essentially, just work it in. Create a little divot. You don't need to do anything major. Just a place to essentially kind of place our future eyeball. It doesn't need to be perfect, but I'm usually pretty picky about that, because the better shape your skull is, the better shape the face is going to be, right? And the other question... Oh, Legendary Godzilla. Okay, cool. I'm not sure if you meant the pink one, in all honesty, but that's what we kind of got. At least it leaves more room for other Godzillas in the future. So I do plan on making the original Legendary Godzilla design at some point, but I just kind of figured we may as well make the pink one, seeing how he's the one that everyone's kind of trending about. So hopefully that's to your satisfaction. I'm not sure that's exactly what a lot of people meant, because there was quite a few requests for that character, but yeah. I appreciate it. He did actually really well, so he'll probably be in an upcoming animation here soon. He does need a little bit of back surgery, though, because unfortunately right now, get him a better view here, he does have a support rod kind of running through his chest, unfortunately. Doesn't necessarily need it, but he is much more heavy in stature, up tall in comparison to the other ones. I have that nice big chunky belly, which kind of helps him be a lot more supportive. So I'm going to add a couple more spools of wire essentially in his back. So there'll be a live Godzilla surgery at some particular point. I think that'll be kind of a funny topic to cover. I'll probably wear a surgeon mask and everything for that situation. So yeah. Curious. Was it this Godzilla you meant, or was it the original design, technically. Probably the original, I'm assuming. Just gonna quickly count out Shimu's head spikes here to my best of my ability. I think I'm gonna grab a plasticine knife. Oh, you have the action figure. That's pretty cool. Okay, so you were probably referring to the previous style, not 2024. Yeah, I've seen a lot. I've honestly kind of wanted to get some of those action figures. I can't remember. There's shoot. I need to do my research a little bit before I start streaming. But there's a pretty popular toy company out there that makes really realistic, fully anatomical Godzillas, and I see a lot of people actually do stop motion with those types of dolls, for lack of a better term, or toys. And I'd kind of like to do that, to be honest, because yeah, it'd be a lot easier than claymation, to say the very least. Although it does lack some creative freedom at that particular juncture, unfortunately, I must admit. But hey, I'm gonna count out Shimu's spikes, so that way I don't have to go back to the reference photo a whole bunch of times here. In theory, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it? That seems right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, it is 7. Cool. Does Shimo have a theme song? I honestly don't know the answer to that question. There hasn't really been a whole lot of like Godzilla X Kong music releases as of lately, unfortunately. So, hey, King Julian, thanks for tuning in. And Kingzilla, welcome back. Whatchamacallit, just watching. Yeah, I kind of had to scarf things down before I got into the stream. I'll get to it here in a bit, King Julian. That's kind of a long message. I don't have too much time for reading, unfortunately, during stream, because that just doesn't make great content, because I'm not best reader. But yeah, theme songs, I noticed there hasn't been a whole lot. Instagram has actually had a couple, like, for stories. I do actually have an Instagram profile. It's not very popular. I'm way more, yeah, get more responses from YouTube, obviously, at this point, which I'm completely fine with. But either way, I've noticed that platform has a Godzilla X Kong sort of theme song, but it's very, very brief. Legendary just seems to be keeping things very, very tight niched right now, which I think is part of their marketing strategy, because that way it sparks curiosity, if that makes any sense, because now you kind of want to go see it, because you kind of have to get the answers to these questions, because there's no other way to really do that, right? So... And LG and Boom makes from Boom 1993 NGL. I'm not sure what that acronym exactly means, unfortunately. Turning out is very cool. First Shimo, some cameras show monster. But if so. Not gonna lie. I trust you. I just don't quite understand the acronym, unfortunately. So, hey, Doom gets. I'm assuming you're talking about the soundtrack still, because yeah, I'm not too familiar with the whole soundtrack on Legendary, unfortunately. I'm very familiar with the new one, or the Godzilla original title, as it's referred to, because I tend to get stuck with that one a lot of the time on YouTube, unfortunately, because a lot of people are, yeah, that's what they're accustomed to when they see a Godzilla character. So it makes a lot of sense. The way you get good at reading is actually using. Yeah, I don't read books. I just tend to cheat and listen to audiobooks. The last stream I was talking about my favorite book, actually, which was Michael Crichton. Thanks, man. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you here. Started a little earlier today than usual, so kind of had to rush to be on time, even though technically I was still a few minutes late, but I'm blaming that on the tablet because it wants me to go vertically every time, which isn't terrible, and it's recommended apparently, but Godzilla, thanks for joining us. Hopefully, Judezilla, I think I said that right, 101. Seen you here a couple times before. But yeah, I probably should read more, but I think what I'm going to just basically do is force myself on stream to read a lot more, kind of get adjusted to that. I'm not terrible, but it's definitely, unfortunately, one of my weak points, but I'm not trying to admit that at this point in my life. It's part of who I am, fortunately. I'm going to be here until 12. Okay, we probably won't be streaming too long, I'll admit, because I'll try. I'm pretty ambitious with my time schedules per usual, obviously. I'm trying to get I don't even know where I put the head. Uh-oh. There it is. Blends in with the table. Trying to get this thing all done, so I'm kind of working on eye sockets at the moment. So I'm playing with a ball stylist, which is basically just a hard rubber sculpting tool, which I've mentioned quite a lot on stream here, so I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. I won't drag on too much about that. Toothless from... Oh, in the background there. Okay, yeah, you guys actually can see the shelf. Yes, that is Toothless. Toothless is a very, very old... That's like one of my... That's the first dragon I actually ever made, probably 4 years ago now, give or take. There is no technically how-to tutorial. There is a couple really janky animations on him, I'll admit. They're really bad, so I don't... Yeah. If you want to go check those out, by all means, but it's done in my old 3:30 format, and I was just kind of starting, so they're not the best of quality, but it's still pretty cool. I think he interacts with my Milton the Moose character a couple times. Yeah. He's a little in rough shape. I kind of tried making the teeth retractable by giving him a bunch of removable ones, and he's got a pretty janky smile right now, to say the very least. But there's a Scrat back there too. Dancing chicken butt. A couple Jack Skellingtons. Got a Wendigo up in the top corner there. Old Rat Rod. That one's kind of cool. That's actually the car up in the far corner. Is basically, I just use a bunch of modeling kit frames and formed clay around it to basically make my own car. That's how I started YouTube, actually, is making clay cars. Then Milton's hanging out in the corner there too, I see. I think the SCP's usually there too. Yeah, you can see 173. He's just above my head by the Wi-Fi speaker. Then there's a couple SCPs too. You see Shy Guy down there and 049. Kind of a big SCP fan. I actually, there's an animation that's supposed to be continued I haven't done yet, and I'll probably do that for my next Halloween special, but we'll get there. Scrat is great. Scrat is God. Scrat is awesome. I love Scrat. Scrat's one of my favorite Disney cartoon characters, and I'm really sad that Blue Sky Studios is no longer open, unfortunately. But I'll have to bring him back, as one of my best friends' fiance is a huge fan of Scrat. I plan on making him fight Godzilla someday, so I think that'd be kind of an interesting one, but maybe one-sided. But there's a whole aspect of Scrat that I'm sure a lot of people aren't fully aware of. I've dived into the deep lore of Scrat. As weird as that sounds. Scrat lore. Yeah, that might be an interesting topic. Let me know if you guys want me to rant on about Scrat lore, because there's a bunch of interesting short animation cartoons that I'm sure a decent amount of people have seen at this point, but it hasn't gotten like super viral views. So yeah, I think it'd be kind of an interesting watch for a lot of you, because he ends up going to space and a couple other things. So, you know, Scrat is the creator of the entire galaxy. And one of them, it's, yeah, a little crazy. Just gonna do some slight adjustment here, guys. Gonna do a slight amount of sculpting for the actual video for part 1 of Shimo, which I'm hoping to have done soon. I'm gonna sculpt that eyeball and I'll get right back to you guys. So yeah, I'm just gonna play with the ball stylus a little bit, make an eyeball socket. Nothing too fancy. Then we'll get on to probably the horns next, is my idea, I think. Oof. Probably just bump the mic there a bunch. I'm sorry, guys, not used to having anything up there. Hey. I am back. Oh, that's a Wendigo. Yes. I'll try to make adjustments so you guys can see the shelf back there. They're probably one of my lesser known characters for the most part, but the Wendigo, because I'm Canadian, I personally think that's one of my favorite monsters because it's a really cool piece of folklore that we actually have up here. Although, I must admit, for educational purposes, that is technically not what your average Wendigo would look like. It's technically supposed to be more of a humanoid creature than it is, say, a antler-like monster. There was a movie back in the 70s called The Wendigo that was created that had that interpretation of a Wendigo with the skull and the antlers, and basically that's kind of stuck ever since. And then there was the ACP version, and that was extremely popular, so everyone usually associates Wendigos with basically that, when theoretically it would almost look more like Shy Guy or SCP-096. I'm a SCP nerd too. Oh, you're talking about Scrat destroying things. Yeah, he's an odd balance. Check. There's a. I can't remember the exact title. I should probably look it up so I can get it for you guys here. But as long as you type in "Scrat goes to space" after the streams here ended, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Scrat goes to space. Oh, it's probably
Scrat goes to space.
Yeah, the short animation done by Blue Sky Studios about 8 years ago, so it's really dated at this point, but it's still great. He's very much like a Looney Tunes character, which is another big inspiration of mine growing up. Unfortunately, physics are a little bit more of a problem on stop motion end, so. Cheetah Island, what's up? I think that's how you say your name? Cheetah, yeah, cool. Oh, Cheetah, yeah, okay, yeah, I recognize you. Hey, Cheetah. Go more by the profile picture. I recognize the little tiger that you got there. Only seen days until Godzilla. Oh god, yeah, it's only a week away. God, I'm gonna have to use some of my vacation time at work, I think, just so I can see it on time and still maintain but some other tiger. Oh, okay, yes. But so I can still maintain a schedule, because yeah, I remember, yeah, I was really late to seeing -1, unfortunately. Really late. I was just kind of like, no, don't spoil it. I've done so many things on this, but I still haven't seen the actual film yet, please. What clay do I use? Right now, I'm currently using oven baked clay. Oh, wow, okay, the chat's showing up honestly on the thing now. Cool. Weird. I don't know why it's doing that now, but apparently we're no longer having some technical issues. I apologize for being interrupted. I don't get distracted easily. Blue dinosaur. I'm using basically Sculpey oven baked clay, not sponsored. Sculpey is great though. It is one of the more expensive oven baked sculpt brands. But that being said, you get your money's worth mainly on the fact that it's really durable. Like, it lasts for a good period of time, not to mention the fact that it's basically you can throw this in the oven over and over again and it almost won't ever crack. It does burn over time, especially if you do it too hot and think about food at the same time. I've made that mistake a couple times. Don't do that. So other than that, this stuff's great. I really, really recommend it. I basically use it to make the entire skeletal structure of all my armature dolls, along with a little bit of armature wire and tin foil for weight saving purposes. Hear my old fan kicking in the background. Hopefully you guys can't hear that. Pretty sweet. Maybe Scrat and Shimo could be together because That'd be actually kind of an interesting thing. I could have Scrat riding on Shimo or something like that. I kind of want to blend that in with the whole takeover concept cartoon that I kind of have going on with Gojira just kind of in the midst of the rampage at the moment, with -1 just arriving at the party at the end of it. Spoilers, but yeah. Godzilla 2203 TY. Talk to you later. Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in for your brief moment. I'm so excited for. Yeah, I'm excited for the movie. I'm just like, timing. Oh God, wish I was a lot further. Although, I'll admit, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a good movie. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it so I can get some added inspiration for some monster fights. I'll leave it at that. And stupid tablet. Lost the chat in there, so I'm back on the laptop here, guys. What is my favorite clay figure Godzilla? Well, all kind of started with Gojira, which, I don't know. I don't know if he's my favorite. It seems to be kind of each one that I make gets progressively more challenging. I'd say it's a pretty close tie-off between -1 and Legendary. I'm a little annoyed with Legendary right now because he has back problems. So, well, we'll fix that. We'll have some surgery streams here, unfortunately. But aside from that, I think it's a pretty close tie between those two. I would definitely like to make more spikes for -1, as much as I don't want to say that, because I would like, because we all know -1 has that whole jutting out ability with his spikes. Mine unfortunately cannot do that because I made him well before the second trailer release, and upon seeing the second trailer, I was just kind of like, oh, that's cool, but I didn't, I didn't prepare for that. So, yeah, that's another Godzilla surgery, I guess, because yeah, I'm gonna have to basically break all those spikes out. Yeah, I know it's kind of sad having to do that, but you want Shimo to die? Oh, geez. I kind of want Shimo to basically betray Scar King. I'm hoping for that. I would like to see the kaiju kind of, yeah, break its chains, pun intended. So, do you have a favorite bird? Oh, prehistoric bird. That's a good question. Oof. There's a couple that really come to mind. Terror birds are really cool, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have exactly a favorite for that, but I would have to kind of go with the failsafe on that one, I think, where it's just the general. Shoot. I think that's the species name, but I can't remember the actual individuals, because there's a bunch of them. I can name my favorite modern bird that looks a lot like it, which is the shoe-billed stork. I don't know if you guys have heard of that thing, but that thing's cool. Eats crocodiles, and it's kind of terrifying because it has this giant beak that's very similar to a lot of those prehistoric birds, and it makes this terrifying clapping noise, and it looks like it wants to kill you. Like, it's got the meanest death glare I have ever seen on any sort of animal, but apparently it's super friendly with people, and all you have to do is bow. They're unfortunately extremely endangered, and I believe they live in South Africa somewhere. I'm not exactly sure, though, because I'm up in Canada here, so I don't have anything that cool. We do have whooping cranes, which are honestly pretty sweet. There's a lot of those that show up not too far from where I live, actually, have a huge mating ground, and that was really cool to experience. I unfortunately couldn't get really close and didn't really want to because I didn't want to disturb them, but it's a listed species as well, and there's literally hundreds of these things in this farmer's field, and they're all just doing this weird little dance, flapping their wings around. It was like, this is so weird, and I wish my iPhone had a better camera. This phone could probably do it, no problem. So if I ever get an opportunity to catch some strange footage like that, I might just kind of pop up on a random video at some point. Because, yeah, that was cool. It looks so angry. Okay, you looked it up. Yeah, it does not look very friendly. But trust me, all you have to do is apparently bow, and that's enough to earn that bird's respect. I think they're really cool. I definitely would like to meet one at some point. So, yeah, that'd be interesting. But yeah, they look a lot scarier than what they're portrayed to be. I'll admit. Oh, you don't want to? Okay, maybe I probably misread that. Scar King. Scar King. That would be kind of funny if the Scar King just gets treated like a ping pong ball. Gets batted between the two tails. Pair of Thagamizers. Oh, that would be a bad situation to be now that you think about it. One's super heated and then the other one's super cooled. Let's see, Godzilla film, look up. I have to make a quick note on that one. Notezilla. I think I've heard of that one before. What one silly Godzilla content creator I'm a huge fan of is Monster Island Buddies. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with that guy. Monster Island Buddies, yay! Or more. I mean, I somewhat feel ashamed for almost watching his content because he's literally just playing with toys, but I kind of do the same thing, but I take thousands of pictures of him, so it's on a slightly different scale. You know him? Yeah. I kind of figured a vast majority of my audience would know who that guy is. I literally binge watched that stuff like that was the early days of YouTube, even I remember that as a kid. So, dating myself there, unfortunately. I'm just gonna write down this recommendation. Definitely one thing I checked out too that was recommended recently in Scream. Jesus. Caffeine. Stream was whatchamacallit? The Man in the Suit. That was pretty interesting. Honestly, I would kind of like to possibly kind of play around with that concept a little bit, make it into a stop motion, because I think that could be really creepy. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys want to see that. What is my favorite car? Oh, that's actually a good question. I'm secretly a big car nut, so I own 6 personally. Too many cars, but probably my dream car would be a 1927 T-Bucket, which sounds really strange, but it's basically an old 1920s Ford Model T that's been converted into a truck. Because back in the day, it was a lot cheaper to insure your vehicles as trucks. These people who ended up buying Model Ts essentially just kind of end up slapping a makeshift box on the back of their cars so they could essentially get cheaper insurance, and a lot of them were pretty popular for turning into little hot rods or various other things of that matter. So that's where a lot of the rat rodding culture came from. So that would be one of my personal dream cars to own. They're extremely hard to find at this point, given the fact that the car is nearly 100 years old. So, see, I've seen a couple in some scrap yards before, but guys that own them are just really, really picky about getting rid of that kind of stuff, unfortunately, because it is so hard to find nowadays. But my 2 favorite cars that I own personally is my 1986 IROC Z Camaro. That was my first car. I saved 6 years doing flyers for that thing. Been broke ever since. And then my 98 Neon, which is kind of a sleeper car, which is a lot of fun. It ruins a lot of people's days because it's an Econoline, for lack of a better term. Sorry, I know a lot of you don't like me swearing, but it's a shit box. So it's great at sending people home where they're like, it's a first gen Neon, that shouldn't have happened. So R35, that's a good choice. Yeah, the Skyline. I just hate the drift tax that's involved on a lot of those. Personally, my favorite Skyline would be whatchamacallit. I mean, there's Godzilla. Godzilla's really cool. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that guy. Hey, Dylan. I see a lot of emojis going on there. I'll get to you in a bit, but we're kind of talking cars. But yeah, probably the original 60s R31 is kind of my dream set car from that, like franchise, or not franchise, geez, from that Japanese like builder, for lack of a better term, because I just love the way they look, and I would love to like do a whole engine drivetrain swap on one of those at some point. So Scar King is Batman of Batman of the Monsterverse. That's pretty funny. I like that. I think I'd love to make a Scar King too. I've gotten a decent amount of requests for him, but not too many. So hopefully I might make him before I make Kong, just in case I screw up a monkey. That way it's less iconic at that point. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, King Julian. Just gotta go through and fall behind on you guys here a little bit. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. This is awesome. I kind of love hanging out with you guys and getting to know what sort of favorite dinosaurs, monsters, and sort of things we're looking forward to. Apparently, everyone's pumped about the new movie. Yeah, excited, but also going, I'm not even getting any work done here, but that's okay. I'll get to it here in a bit. Shimo is going to die. Oh, no, okay. Huh. So you guys seem to have a little bit more intel on Shimo at this point than I do. So yeah, if you could fishtail some information about that kaiju, I would vastly appreciate it. And it might actually end up in part 1 of the video here that I'm kind of going to be hopefully editing tomorrow. Have it out by Wednesday, if not Thursday by the latest. So. Dylan, it is marked not for kids technically. I do apologize, but I'm a welder fabricator by trade, so oof. Things get pretty bad sometimes in my shop environment, I'll put it that way. But sometimes we make sailors look good. So I'm usually on my best behavior, but yeah, I couldn't really diverse anything else for my Neon's description because yeah, it's a first gen Neon. I put a lot of work into it, but yeah, it is kind of a Econoline junk box. Moose is the best animals North America because moose is the best animals of North America because they like cold places. That's a hard question. There's a lot of really cool, interesting animals up here. I'd say the moose is probably one of the most impressive, but I've had probably the worst experience with, because it's kind of how this channel entirely started. I got into a really bad car accident, unfortunately, where I broke my right wrist and couldn't do my welding job at that particular time, so I basically dove into doing stop motion all left-handed at the very beginning. Like I was only doing one hand, and it was difficult, but I mean, here we are now, so yeah, cool. And turn something negative into something positive. I talked about that on a podcast a long time ago, so I won't digress too much. It kind of sucked, but yeah. All better now. This wrist isn't the greatest, unfortunately, but luckily I didn't need to get any surgery or pins or anything like that, so. Yeah, I don't want her to die either. I really want to see her fight against Scar King, to be honest. Because it just seems like it's a bit of a sad story. It seems like she's been mistreated, so. Gaming with Adrian, thanks for joining us. Apologize for getting a little behind chat. There's a lot of stuff going on here, guys, so. Nice. Almost happy birthday. Please recover well. Oh, well, I mean, that accident happened a long time ago, Julian. Like, that's, yeah. That was the day I bought my house. And, yeah. I'll just kind of give a brief description on the whole story, seeing how it's kind of come up again here. Basically, last time moving is around this time, actually, at night, and I was just coming on the top of a hill. So there was a blind spot there. I was in a 2004 Cavalier, so obviously a lot of you are probably younger, not too familiar with cars, but not a big vehicle. It's probably a 2,400 pound, 3,000 pound car, so pretty small, not much bigger than my Neon. Little four banger. Anyway, I did love it. It was a great, reliable little Chevy, just great, but only one part on the thing that broke apart from the accident. But basically, yeah, coming up on the top of the hill, with moose, it's really hard to actually identify that there is an animal on the road, unfortunately, because it's weird. Basically, their eyes don't actually like glow or anything like that in headlights for cars, which you would typically see in any other, mammal like a deer or dog, for example. And that's a terrible example, but you get the gist. If it's something of that nature that's a little bit lower, you can see the eyes glowing. With moose, you can't. The only thing you essentially see is these giant white legs going across. So as soon as I came up on the top of the hill, kind of getting goosebumps just talking about the story a little bit, because yeah, it was scary. Basically come up the top of the hill, all I see is these giant white legs, so I literally only have maybe a split second to actually relax, react to the whole situation. So there's a truck coming the other way, so I can't go into the oncoming lane. That's not a good option, because now I'm going to either hit the moose, which is going that way as well, or the truck. So my best option, start aiming for the ditch. Not great, probably going to write off my car, but at least I'm not hitting a 2,000-pound animal, right? Like, that's not an ideal situation. But unfortunately, he started freaking out and going back to the ditch where I'm now going, so I had to make a last split-second decision, grab the steering wheel, and yank it over as hard as I possibly could. And really lucky. It took out the entire passenger side of the car. Like, the roof of the car was touching the seat. Thankfully, no passengers were in the vehicle. My dogs were sitting in the back, and they were all fine, luckily. I wasn't so fortunate. I didn't let go of the steering wheel, and basically plowed myself into my right wrist, kind of fracturing my L2, which is pretty bad and can lead to basically surgeries, unfortunately. But yeah, that's how this channel started. Pretty rough, unfortunately, but hey. Yeah. Shake it off. And it's not a fun situation to be in, I'll just put it that way. Oh, yeah. Yikes. Okay, we got some theories for Shimo going on here. He's gonna be freezing him. Distress BNGXK. That's been mentioned a few times. I wonder if they'll actually ever make Destroya an appearance. I would imagine that'd be an interesting take to see what the MonsterVerse kind of does with Destroya. It could be actually an interesting concept too. Maybe because I know Destroya's been requested quite a few times. Maybe if I do a Destroya, I'll just kind of put a different twist on it, like the MonsterVerse version, just kind of making obviously what I think they would make out of it. That way, kind of making it more original. Shimo! Yes, I'm hoping to get this thing done, so I'm probably gonna stay focused a little bit more on the doll here. Kind of see what you guys are busting around for theories. I kind of see a lot of people are assuming she's gonna die, but it's not obviously a fan favorite idea. Yeah, she's the first Titan. Yeah, there's a lot of cool references and Easter eggs for that. I was listening to some podcasts today about that. Their first appearance was in a video game in whatchamacallit, Call of Duty. Apparently there's an interesting Easter egg in that one where you can shoot Kong in a certain area and get a lot of bonus points. So I don't play COD, so I'll have to check that out, honestly. As depraved as that is, I kind of want to see it. But yeah, apparently there was a cave painting in that which had basically a Shimo cave painting, for lack of a better term. So before I get into the spikes, the next thing I'm going to work on for Shimo's skull here is essentially carving out the mouth, so that way I have like a hollow space to essentially put all the teeth. So what I'm going to be using for that is what is called a rake. This is usually what your standard rake looks like, and it's usually for some of you who are here more often, probably recognize it as the knife that gets mistreated a lot of the time, because this is the only end I really care about for this tool. It works really well for scraping off small bits and ends of clay, but for this purpose, we're probably going to want a much smaller one because it's not a very big surface area, and that's going to basically remove the entire lower half of the jaw, which we do not want. So that will be the next thing I'm working on. Nowadays, let's see, Thermal Godzilla first. I'm kind of curious as to whether or not, yeah, there's been some theories if this new evolved version even has that capability. I would imagine he does. I just kind of want to see what kind of power levels it's all going to have. They've been keeping things up pretty tight. It kind of sucks. Because, yeah, especially as a content creator trying to get information to talk about it, it's like, secretive. I guess it'll be all very soon. We'll see how close my theories are. Hopefully I don't get you too much for being inaccurate, but it hasn't happened in the past yet, so. I do have some interesting -1 theories, so we'll probably dive into some of that at some point. I know I've been kind of teasing that for a while, but probably when I'm making Shin. Haven't decided yet. I actually kind of did think about having, for King Julian, I think you kind of asking if I wanted to start a car channel. I kind of thought about it, but car parts aren't cheap. Very expensive. And I got bad habits on that one. It's fun, but yeah, oof. My Camaro is terrible on gas, to help put it in perspective. It came with a 5-speed, and I now put a 2-speed power glide in it. Now it's set up for like drag racing only. Gets to 100 miles an hour really fast, but yeah. It's terrible on gas. It's got 411 gears in the back, so it gets, yeah. It's miles per gallon, not miles per gallon. I'm probably going to do just a little bit of carving here, so I'll get back to you guys in just a moment. I have 3 turtles. Oh, cool. You have a small petting zoo, too. I used to actually have a shellless turtle. Yeah, shellless turtle as a kid. But now I just have a bunch of fur babies. I have 3 cats, 2 dogs, and a bunch of goldfish. They generally just kind of live in my pond, though, during the summer. You made a something bull. I can't quite make that out. I do apologize. Dyslexic moment there. But yeah, I'm glad to see that you're playing around with clay. It's definitely a lot of fun. Definitely, I encourage that as much as possible. Be creative, because once you get good at this sort of stuff, you can pretty much make whatever you want. I've been doing this for well over 25 years at this point, so. And I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. You think Shimo will kill Scar King? That's what I'm personally hoping for. Four dogs. Oh, wow. 2 frogs. That's pretty cool. I like frogs. I actually used to own a couple of fire belly toads. They were kind of interesting. We also had a fire belly newt. Kind of wanted to maybe get some more aquarium animals such as that, but they're, yeah. crickets are really expensive over time. It got kind of stupid. I mean, I usually had my own little mealyworm farm a lot of the time for those creatures, so it did help a lot. They're pretty easy to maintain. You just have to buy a package of them and then just throw like a bunch of compost material in a little bucket, and then you can basically kind of harvest and grow your own food is kind of the idea. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what a Oscar is, but it's a big kind of predatory fish. I used to have one of those, and that was his favorite snack. So a lot of my toads and him had mealyworms. Oh, your turtles are eating right now. What do you feed turtles? Like, I know there's like generally pellets and stuff like that, but I imagine a lot of them probably prefer like live insects mostly. And fun fact, I think Mosasaurus is actually closely related to turtles. It's, I know, hard to believe, but I know that's one of his closer living relatives, believe it or not. It's not technically a dinosaur. Most people think it is, but it's not. There are more waterish frogs. That's yeah, kind of like a species, or they're basically, do they only like live in the water kind of ordeal? There's some really weird amphibians. I actually have a bunch of frogs that live in my backyard, in my pond. I've never been able to really catch them on camera, but maybe someday. It'd be kind of cool. I want to build them a little dock. I built them a little home and stuff like that too, but I don't think they actually really use it, but I hope they do. Because they're pretty cool. I like amphibians. Prehistoric Planet had actually quite a few. I should probably finish like watching that for the 4th or 5th time. Great series. If you're into dinosaurs, definitely check that out if you haven't. Sign up for Apple TV for that free trial. Watch all the dinosaur content and leave. That's exactly what I did, but then there's Monarchy of Monsters too. Which is actually probably a good topic we should go over at some point, because that was a good... I really enjoyed that show as well, but yeah. Prehistoric Planet had a lot of interesting animals in that aspect. Apologize if I bumped the mic there, guys. I'll have to try and get this thing. It's got a weird adjustment set up that I don't personally really like very much, so... Oh, they like to eat fruit? Yes, that's right. Okay, so that's actually probably pretty easy to keep them happy. I remember we had a guinea pig. He really enjoyed whatchamacallit. What was it? Lettuce. So every time we opened the refrigerator, he would just start screaming. It's kind of annoying. We named him Pigaro, like Figaro. It was very soothing because, yeah, he just made a bunch of weird cooing noises and stuff like that. I even made a motorcycle for him out of Lego. So occasionally on my block as a kid, there'd be this little guinea pig riding this motorized trike down the block. So, yeah. Got a couple strange looks for that one. People are like, what the heck? All good, King Julian. Glad you could tune in for this evening. Worship frogs. Oh, okay, so yeah, they do live in the water. Interesting. Yeah, very similar to probably the soft-shelled turtles that I had as a kid. I don't really remember those very much. They didn't stick around very long. I think they ended up going to the university and living there after a while. But yeah, the shellless turtle's a weird-looking creature. Very weird. I didn't, yeah. A lot of people not a big Scar King fan here, I see. I think he's cool. Don't get me wrong, bad guys are cool, but yeah, I'm not... He seems like he's pretty cruel. Turtles. I like turtles. Moto. Imperial Godzilla, small. Verse. Moto. Is that some kind of request there, Dylan? Okay. Lower jaw, then we can make spikes. What are we doing for time frame here? Close to an hour. Moto. Is that a monster? M-O-T-O. Yes.
Introducing Icy Hot Pro Patch. Designed with hydrogel technology, ice works fast.
Yeah, I'm being targeted for being old. Motomon. I'm getting search results for a bike. I don't think that's probably what you're referring to. I'll just quickly jot that down just so we don't have too much downtime on stream. Further research is required. Shimo. Who is stronger, Shimo or Ghidorah? I would assume Shimu's probably stronger than Ghidorah. I mean, I don't know that for sure. But given the fact that it's rumored Shimo is basically the reason King Ghidorah is frozen, I think it's safe to say that Shimu's potentially stronger. And apparently is bigger. Apparently. I think some of the estimates are, excuse me, about 500 feet tall, approximately. I'm away from my show notes. That would be an interesting fight, though. I might have to animate that at some point. But what I'm going to do next here, add a lower jaw. So we're just going to add a little bit more oven baked clay to this bottom piece here. And then poke a hole through it using some armature wire just so we can have a hole for a hinge. Because once this comes out of the oven, which I'll probably do off stream, I'll basically have a little pivot point so I can pinch the lower jaw, make that, and then add the teeth in after. It's a lot easier to do that in order with everything basically being dry and doing the teeth very last. I've done some sequences where I've done the teeth too early, and the teeth are usually really small, and that's when you're going to run into problems when you're playing with Sculpey clay is really small surface areas, so you have to be very careful with that, and your time might be reduced just a little bit. On average, you want to throw this stuff in the oven for about 15 minutes, but when you're dealing with smaller surface areas and stuff that's already been cooked, I usually go to 13 to 12 minutes sometimes. But much lower than that, the clay won't properly cure, so it becomes really crumbly. So it's kind of like a fine line. I mean, it's almost better to kind of burn things and then paint it as opposed to the other way, in my opinion, because it's more frustrating having everything just kind of crumble in your hands. That's the only downside. So make sure your timing is good on your cooking. That's about the only issue you will ever have with Sculpey oven baked clay, though. I hit the phone. I want a video, not a photo. I realize that probably looks a little strange, but that saves a lot on editing time from me having to put my hands in and out by using the remote with my lips. Efficiency. I wish I had more hands for sculpting. Frozen lizard. Yeah, frozen dragon. Kind of curious yeah, I imagine there's probably going to be a lot of lore gaps kind of filled in for this new film, GXK. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited to go see it. I would ask the chat, but I'm pretty sure that's a really rhetorical question. Everyone's pretty pumped about it. Okay, I probably spelled it wrong. You have a U and an O. Okay. I'll check out that request right after. I'm probably gonna call it quits here pretty soon. Not continue a little bit longer, but not too much longer. Hoping to get Shimo done, because then we can have a lot more monster fun. Because I was hoping to have Shimo done on the weekend, to be honest, but I ended up sleeping more than I probably should have. But I was sick last week, so man. Some recovery time was obviously required. Unfortunately, I am not a spring chicken at this point in my life anymore. Getting old. So there's a request for it there. I think I'm honestly gonna just, I got some vacation time, I just might book it off so that way I can go see the movie instead. Sounds a lot more fun than working. Yeah, I did get to see -1, great film, but yeah, I was kind of late to the party. I think I saw that after 3 weeks on release. So, yeah. Can't remember what I was working on the channel during that time. Was it King Ghidorah? Might have been King Ghidorah. So that would explain a lot. King Ghidorah was a really hard project. But yeah, I definitely will try my best to go see this movie ASAP. I hate to say it, but I kind of almost want to show up in there with a notepad for certain scenes. Like, hey, reminder, animate this. That was cool. Although, Kong riding Godzilla, I don't know how well I'm going to be able to pull that one off, to be honest. Yeah, I'm scared I'd end up breaking dorsal plates at that particular juncture. Which is something I've been fairly fortunate to avoid so far, but I digress. So, I'm going to poke a hole in the lower jaw. And this will be essentially my future hinge. So, pretty straightforward here. All that's required. Now, the important thing is to make sure that hole stays whilst you're working on everything else. I don't have too much more to really actually play around with on the skull, but it's not the end of the world if you end up screwing it up, but usually you want to get in as one piece, because if you don't, then drilling through it could possibly break it, then you can start over. You don't have to, you can try and fix it, but it's usually kind of frustrating, and I usually just go, nope. Round 2. So now I'm going to start with the horns. I don't actually have too much left on that at this point. Yeah, hopefully that is kind of helpful, because I'm sure you guys have seen it on a lot of the tutorial videos I've done. Basically, it's just a little wire jaw hinge, although sometimes I kind of skip through a lot of this depending on how much footage I already kind of have. But yeah, so next order of business, making horns, pretty straightforward. I can basically do it with one hand, just make a cone. I don't think I'm going to add wire to these ones just for this purpose of speed. So just make horns varying lengths and stick them onto the side of the head. Out of emojis. But, I mean, it's a pretty clever combination that you got going on there, I must admit. A frozen lizard. There might be a dragon. You could try that. Try seeing if there's a dragon and freezing that. Wowzilla, hello, thank you for joining us. Fanfare turtle death. Oh god. Those aren't good emojis. Thanks for joining us, Cheetah Island. I definitely appreciate you tuning in. So yeah, we'll see. I may or may not be live tomorrow, depending how far I get. Because I don't think no one wants to see me in my soundproof room talking to myself for hours on end. That just seems crazy. Yeah, probably my least favorite part about honestly content creating. I don't know if many of you have spent a lot of time in a soundproof room, but that place kind of sucks. Oof. No, I'm glad you copied the jaw thing. Don't be ashamed of that. I'm happy to help. That's kind of why I'm here. Help use inspire. Can't speak. Okay, awesome. We'll see you then, Mr. Cheetah. I love Godzilla 2024. Yeah, he is really cool. I personally really like this new design. Has some people mixed feelings about it, but I think he's personally pretty cool. Godzilla. It's an interesting concept there, Mr. Fan. Honestly, that's something I personally really like to be able to animate an atomic pulse, but I don't know how to pull that off in a stop motion format. At least not in a practical sense, if that makes any sense. Like, I could easily probably, with my laptop here, I'd have to download some video editing software, but it's kind of cheating. I don't know. We'll see. I might be integrating CG to some of my animations at some point, but I haven't quite figured any of that stuff out yet. Oh yeah, I watched Godzilla -1. I just, like I said earlier in the stream, kind of late to the party on that one. Honestly, love the movie. Great movie. I wasn't a huge fan of the ending, but that seemed to be a lot of people's kind of nitpick with it. But, I have a film theory. I keep dropping that one. I shouldn't talk about it anymore, but we get the gist of it. Like, yeah, I think they're tying off to a certain sequel for another Godzilla. Kind of makes sense of a lot of his capabilities if you think about it. Answer a couple more of your guys' questions here before I call it close for the evening. Making pretty good time at this point. I only have a lower jaw, a bunch of teeth to make, and a bunch of horns. I technically still have the... Bring Shimo back into frame here. The rest of the doll. The tail to work on. The trident, almost like spikes on her tail. The thagomizers, but probably just going to pretend those don't exist for part 1 and just finish that off for part 2. Because that's pretty quick. Easy. I already have lots of footage, so... Yeah. Interesting stream today. A lot of contradictions on what people think are going to happen to Shimo, which I think is pretty interesting. I'm not surprised, but that looks sick. Well, try and get a little better angle for you guys here. Oh, there you can see Godzilla. Obviously, things are a little bit more disastrous than probably what you're accustomed to seeing, mainly because, well, this is actually live and not a limited camera angle. So, yeah, there's legendary Godzilla, Gojira in the back, -1 hanging out. Got a zombie dinosaur, Triceratops, Big John hanging out back there, scientifically accurate blue, and most important of all, caffeine. And then, yeah, there's a bunch on the shelf, too. Kind of went through a bunch of the SCPs already. Ah. Well, usually Instagram is kind of the best place to get a hold of me for that stuff, please, man. I usually contact a lot of my closer fans. I'm not sure if you have it, but yeah. Usually I'll share goofy memes and things like that from time to time. Sometimes various other things, so... If you want to try and get a hold of me there, I believe... I don't know if the link's in the description for my streams, but it is in the videos, so you can easily find it there. But yeah, I would definitely like to check your stuff out. I know there's a lot, if you have a laptop, you should be able to actually stream that stuff on YouTube, but I know there's a bunch of restrictions for mobile streaming, which is what a lot of people generally kind of like to do. You need at least 1,000 subscribers in order to do that, so. That'd be kind of an interesting concept, honestly, to see if they actually do add... Because they do seem to be very element-orientated, I would imagine. What's that mammoth titan called? I think that would probably be more of your Earth-based sort of titan. But I'm not sure what concept... The water one would be really interesting, although arguably Godzilla's kind of water already, given the fact that he predominantly lives there, although, again, he spits atomic blasts, so... He's a very controversial character in that sense. But who cares? That's Godzilla. He's OP. He's supposed to be. Hey, it rhymed. What is my favorite Godzilla? Probably the Heisei Godzilla, because that's the one that I kind of grew up watching a lot of the time, and some of the earlier 60s ones as well. Those were the films that were kind of regularly available when I was really young, and you could find it at the VHS rented movie stores. So yeah. Back in the early days when Japan basically kind of hoarded a lot of Godzilla stuff, and it was really limited up in North America, unfortunately. Yeah. How far back of a Godzilla fan I go. So it's a lot of the Suitmation. I love that stuff as a kid. I think it was like Gigan versus Godzilla was one of the ones I was able to find, and then King Ghidorah was in a couple of them too, but I can't remember all the film franchises. Maybe at some point I'll have to dig them up, because I think that'd be a lot of fun to kind of return to a lot of those old films that I have. Final Wars, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, Final Wars is a good Godzilla. But yeah, I think we're gonna call it an evening for this stream today. I do appreciate for everyone tuning in. If I'm not live tomorrow, that's a good thing. That means I finished. So I'll be in the soundproof room, and that means Shimo Part 1 should be available Wednesday. Not exactly the greatest time to post, unfortunately. So now is a great time to have your guys' post notifications on so you don't miss that video. And yeah, I'll have a bunch of interesting Shimo content to basically go over. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, comment below what you think of the project, share with your friends, and perhaps consider subscribing if you're new. And if that's enough from me, till next time, take it easy. And a slight awkward transition, pressing OK.